Have you ever wondered how the circulatory system works? What its functions are? How it ties into the functions of the body as a whole? Or how it helps the body maintain homeostasis? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, I think you may want to continue watching this video, because there's a very high possibility that your questions will be answered very shortly. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's begin by getting a better grasp of the functions of the heart and lungs, so we can then see why they are such an important piece of the circulatory system. Here we have ourselves a diagram of the heart and the lungs, and I'm going to explain to you the functions. So we start in the veins. So the veins transport deoxygenated blood from your body back to your heart. So this blood is deoxygenated and it flows into the right atrium. So you have to look at this as if the heart is in your body right here. So your heart is on your left side. So this would be your left side of your heart. This would be the right side. So the deoxygenated blood flows into the right atrium. The right atrium is kind of a holding chamber for the deoxygenated blood. The deoxygenated blood that is being held in the right atrium then flows through the tricuspid valve. The point of the valve is to make sure that the blood is only flowing one direction, it's not flowing back, always flowing to the point where it's going to get the oxygen. So it flows through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle, and the right ventricle is the area where the deoxygenated blood is then pumped into the lungs to drop off its carbon dioxide and gain oxygen. So then the now oxygenated blood flows into the left atrium. The left atrium is again a holding chamber for the blood. Then the now, as we said, oxygenated blood flows through the mitral valve, which again keeps the blood going one way into the left ventricle. And then from the left ventricle, it flows up through the aorta, through the aortic valve, back into the arteries, back into your bloodstream. So now this blood is oxygenated and it is free to go to your organs to deliver nutrients. Now we will zoom in on veins, arteries, and capillaries to see why this piece of the circulatory system is so important to our well-being.
Your arteries are the large blood vessels in your body that carry oxygenated blood away from the heart. As the blood travels through your body, oxygen is taken off through the capillaries, where the blood loses its oxygen to the organs and tissues of your body. Then the blood, which is now deoxygenated, travels back through your veins into the right side of the heart, back to your lungs, to be reoxygenated, and then the blood moves from your lungs to the left side of the heart to be pumped out again through the arteries. When an artery is cut, much of your blood flows directly out from there because the blood in your arteries are much higher pressure than that in your veins. Your arteries are much larger than your veins as well, and the walls of the arteries are about 3 times thicker than those of veins. The heart pumps out blood through arteries with so much power and force so that your blood can quickly work to oxygenate your organs and tissues so that they won't die. Because of the amount of force used to pump blood through arteries, that blood moves very fast through your body. So if an artery is cut, the blood will quickly reach the area of the cut, and you will bleed out in a matter of minutes, depending on the size and location of the artery. Capillaries collect oxygenated blood from the arteries, then they take the oxygen and nutrients from the blood and deliver them to organs and tissues of the body. When the oxygen and nutrients have been stripped from the blood in the capillaries, the blood returns to the heart and lungs through the veins under low pressure, and so on and so forth. This cycle continues.
Alright, now we will turn our attention back to the lungs so we can get a better understanding of why they are so important to the function of the circulatory system and to the function of the body as a whole.
The lungs play a vital role in the circulatory system. They oxygenate blood being pumped by the heart to small veins in the lungs. The air being inhaled then travels to small tubes in the lungs called bronchioles, which oxygenate the blood. The oxygen-rich blood is then pumped throughout the body and delivers oxygen to the muscles. The blue oxygen-poor blood is pumped by the heart back to the lungs. Without this system of oxygen transport, your cells would not be able to complete the process of making ATP and then would eventually die. The lungs' oxygenation of blood allows the body to maintain homeostasis.
Last, but certainly not least, let's turn our attention back to the blood to see why it is so important to the proper function of the body.
Red blood cells carry nutrients across the body to help them function. Without blood, which is one of the most important aspects of the circulatory system, our body would not be able to function and would then shut down. Red blood cells make up 40 to 50% of the total blood volume. They're made in the bone marrow. The function of red blood cells is to carry oxygen from lungs to all the cells of the body. They carry carbon dioxide away from the cells, but that's not all. Red blood cells contain oxygen carrying a molecule called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin combines with oxygen to give oxyhemoglobin, which is responsible for the red color of blood. Biconcave shapes provide a large enough surface area. They have no nucleus, therefore they're able to enter blood vessels easier than otherwise. White blood cells are the other type of blood cell, also known as leukocytes. They make up 1% of the blood volume. They are also made in the bone marrow and form part of the immune system. The two main types of blood cells are lymphocytes and phagocytes. The function of these cells are to defend the body against infection and disease. Lymphocytes recognize virus or bacteria as being foreign and make antibodies to attack and destroy them. Phagocytes destroy the virus or bacteria, engulfing them in a process known as phagocytosis. They take the germ into the cell, then digesting them and destroying it. White blood cells are made up of a large nucleus and tend to be larger than red blood cells. The shape can vary depending on the cell, and they usually have a flexible shape so that they can engulf microorganisms easier.
Hopefully you now have a better understanding of how the individual parts of the circulatory system work. Let's see how the circulatory system affects the function of the body as a whole, and how the circulatory system helps maintain homeostasis. After learning about the circulatory system, let's take a step back and think about how the subsystem affects the function of your entire body. In essence, your circulatory system is the delivery service carrying goods throughout your body. Think about it like this. If you want to send a package or be old school and send a letter, you put the letter in the mailbox and the postman comes and picks it up. After the mail is picked up, the postman replaces it with other sorts of mail that you receive. In your body, your circulatory system is executing almost exactly the same sort of process, except on the cellular level and at a much faster rate than the postman can pick up and deliver mail. Without the circulatory system, no goods could be transported throughout the body. As we all know, your body's organs need oxygen to live. Without the circulatory system, your body could not transport the oxygen from your heart and lungs to your organs. Building off of that, the circulatory system also collects waste products and delivers them to the proper locations for processing. For example, as the blood cells are on their route delivering oxygen to the organs, they also pick up carbon dioxide and other waste products and deposit them to their proper locations for disposal. So we know the circulatory system transports goods throughout the body, but why is it so important? Well, it all boils down to this idea of homeostasis. Homeostasis is defined as the tendency of a system, especially in nature, to maintain internal stability so it can carry out normal function. In nature, all processes act upon the idea that all things will come into balance or equilibrium. In other words, for something to be complete, it has to have both sides of the coin. Think about yin and yang, and specifically the sun and moon. These are two complementary forms of matter that, when are brought together, create balance and harmony. Without your circulatory system carrying goods to and from organs, your body would not be able to function harmoniously because there is not balance or homeostasis. So really ask yourself, are you doing all you can to keep your body in homeostasis?